Have you ever wondered what drives a person to commit heinous acts of violence? What makes someone turn from a seemingly ordinary individual into a cold-blooded killer? In the dark annals of criminal history, there are few stories as chilling and terrifying as that of the notorious serial killer Gary Ridgway. With over 70 confirmed victims, Ridgway's reign of terror spanned over 2 decades, leaving a trail of devastation and grief in his wake. Born on February 18, 1949, in Salt Lake City, Utah, Ridgway's early years appeared relatively unremarkable. He grew up in a working-class family, and on the surface, there were no signs of the horrors that lay dormant within him. However, as we delve deeper into Ridgway's upbringing, we begin to unravel the twisted path that led him down the dark road of murder. Growing up, Ridgway was plagued by a troubled childhood. His parents' tumultuous relationship and frequent arguments created a chaotic environment that took a toll on his young mind. As a result, Ridgway developed an intense hatred towards women, a seed of resentment that would later blossom into full-blown madness. It was during his teenage years that Ridgway's sinister tendencies began to manifest. He would often wander the streets of his neighborhood, stalking unsuspecting women and indulging in voyeuristic fantasies. These early signs of deviance should have raised red flags, but they went unnoticed, lost amidst the backdrop of a troubled era. As Ridgway grew older, his twisted desires escalated. He began frequenting seedy bars and engaging in the services of sex workers, using them as a release for his pent-up anger and frustration. However, it wasn't long before this outlet for his dark desires failed to satisfy him, and he yearned for more control, more power over his victims. In the early 1980s, Ridgway's reign of terror began in earnest. Targeting vulnerable women, often those involved in prostitution or leading high-risk lifestyles, he would lure them into his trap, promising safety and a sense of security. But behind his seemingly harmless facade lurked a predator, waiting to strike when his victims least expected it. Ridgway's preferred method of murder was strangulation, a method that allowed him to exert dominance and control over his victims. After committing these heinous acts, he callously disposed of his victims' bodies in desolate areas, leaving them to be discovered months or even years later. This macabre game of cat and mouse with law enforcement would continue for years, as Ridgway eluded capture, leaving a trail of unanswered questions and shattered lives in his wake. It wasn't until 2001 that Ridgway's reign of terror finally came to an end. Through meticulous detective work and advancements in forensic technology, law enforcement was able to link Ridgway to the crimes that had plagued the Pacific Northwest for so long. In a shocking twist, Ridgway confessed to the murders of 48 women, though many believe the true number of his victims is much higher. Today, Gary Ridgway sits behind bars, a haunting reminder of the depths of human depravity. His story serves as a chilling testament to the darkness that can lurk within the seemingly ordinary, reminding us that trust can sometimes turn into terror. As we delve further into the mind of this serial killer, we are left with more questions than answers, struggling to comprehend the twisted motives that drove him to commit such unspeakable acts. What leads someone to become a serial killer? Is it nature or nurture? Can we ever truly understand the complexities of the human mind? The story of Gary Ridgway forces us to confront these unsettling questions, reminding us that sometimes, even the most trusted individuals can harbor the most terrifying secrets.